Hey Wendy, so I apologize for the poor quality of this video. I haven't gotten any video editing software yet, so bear with me if I have any pauses or anything. I did promise you a video on the way that girls flirt, and I think I'm going to throw in a few guy ones in there too, so I can think of a few, generally in class. And as embarrassing this is going to be, you're going to have to imagine a few things with me. So let's pretend so back through the camera, wherever you are, there's some guy, that is throwing glances at you. Because guys always seem to do this thing where they keep looking at girls that they like, of course. Some girls, of course, are annoyed by this and guys don't catch it. But say that the girl is actually interested, then she is usually going to look back, of course. But anyway, setting up the scene more, off to the left there'll be a professor lecturing and taking notes. No, a pen, yeah. My notebook, Wish I could move my PC back farther so you can see it, but so I'm here taking notes. And guys, of course, tend to sit really relaxed. But that's another side of psychology that is one of the ones they keep questioning was for sexism. Yeah, because you might notice that girls tend to lean forward because there's this idea they're pushing themselves into conversations, and I'm getting off topic, and opposed to that, guys feel more of a social dominance. So, guy leaning slightly back, but still involved with the lecturer, is usually a positive flirting technique. It makes them appear more attractive, I think, because they get the impression that they actually they don't need to push themselves into the conversation. They're actually, like the lady said on D News, that they have some sort of social dominance. Walking around does this as well, particularly loose or weak, what would you call them? Not necessarily disruptions, but very slightly disrespectful things to the teacher. So, like, a guy not checking his cell phone necessarily, but say, if I were in a lab, or like in a lab environment, if the teacher's lecturing, and I just, kind of get up in a way that's not really particularly distracting and go over to my backpack to go grab something, that's something that actually implies a positive or a stronger social dominance with the guy. Of course, they can't do it too much, they can't go too far. They can't, interrupt the professor or do anything disrespectful or rude. They just do things which show that they aren't completely submissive. And yeah, for some reason girls are really into that. Anyways, they also, she was very right about people kind of needing to be involved and having that banter with guys around them. Usually, particularly with case of girls, they actually like to see guys who have social skills. It's a very funny thing that's right, that sociability matters more in a lot of ways than attractiveness. And studies tend to show that guys who are funny or humor is rated as a more attractive trait than, physical attractiveness. So when they see a guy who is actually having loose banter with people around him, but in a way that, jokes, but in a way that kind of shows maybe that he is intelligent or somehow a little superior to the people around him. It feels really weird saying that, but like teasing the other guys at this table, say. So those. Anyway, so the girls. So remember, professor over there, class all around, guys looking at me, and I'm a girl in this scenario. So guy's looking at me, and I notice him. So first I'm gonna be here taking notes, paying attention to the professor. And then I see the guy looking, so I'm gonna just do the side glance, and then up and down, kind of look at him, and then go and then smile and maybe do a little giggle, and then look back at the professor and be like, And then, pay attention for a while. He might look up later. And so a little bit later, then you go and you do something like look over at the guy, notice he's looking at you, and you're like, just little playful things, and maybe just playing with your hair in a way that he can see it, and your neck, drawing out features, and just glancing over every once in a while and smiling. It's always about smiling in the short glances. What's that women do? Oh, forearms. That's a big one. I know it is. You can always tell if a girl likes you when you're a guy, of course. Not in my weird role-playing scenario I'm having right now. You can always tell if a girl likes you when she's showing her forearms. And of course, this might have to do some kind of animal inborn psychology of showing vulnerability, like bubs rolling over and showing your belly, because forearms, vulnerable spots. And that's why playing with your hair shows the vulnerability of your underarm and a less combative stance. So, slow lip bite is popular, but that one can get a little weird. I find. Or just air like that. As far as talking to you guys go, I'm really not sure on that one. I'd have to think about it a bit. They certainly don't say just kidding all the time. Yeah, girls usually perform better when they are a bit more direct in conversations. I mean, at the first, glances and smiles, it's very indirect, very playful. But I think that girls do better when they, tease the guy a little bit. I mean, they show that they're genuinely interested, focused in, what is that word? They're really receptive. I was joking with you, the best thing you can do to get a guy to like you is to ignore him. But it isn't really quite that. It's to give him mixed signals, which is horrible to say, but it's really the truth. You have to go up and talk to him and give him the body language that you're interested, but joke and pretend and say, oh, well, I'm not that, be vague, but kind of direct. I mean, you can't outright declare, I guess, but you are confident enough to go talk to them, to have conviction in your statements. However, not definition, but not absolute definition of if you're interested, or how far you're willing to go. And you can't, so for example, so a girl will be leaning in like she does, so when she's involved, and she's laughing, and she's saying, but she might say something, as a joke, she's like, well, I don't know if I'm all that interested in you. I mean, you certainly have the eyes for it, but I don't know if you're, man enough. Oh yes. Emasculating, that's the word. So yeah, emasculation, hilarious all the time. Always makes guys try harder. Of course, can't go too far. And it might not work with everybody. Some people get really upset. But for some reason, a lot of guys really feel the need to prove their masculinity. So kind of teasing them about it works. What else works? Yeah, and you always have to keep the lighthearted, positive attitude. You notice how in movies, how they always, when a guy goes and talks to some girl, and she's with her friend, say, and they're in a high school, or common scenario, they're over by the lockers, and then they're talking to her, just like, well, I don't know if I don't know if I'm all that interested yet, or she'll be vague, even though their intentions are kind of obvious to the audience, and then they'll do the two girls will walk off. They'll do an excited the hop thing that they do, and then they'll like hop and giggle and implies that they're talking about the guy, and they'll look back at him. But it's all very kind of excited and quick. And what else can I think of as far as girls go? Questions I know work very well, but that is a little manipulative in my opinion. It's what magicians usually do to try to trick people. If you're always asking questions, you're always trying to get a person to think about something or trying to pull information out of them, then they're usually too distracted to know what you're doing, or they're interested because there's that human need to resolve questions. So what did you say? And you were asking them just some question, something interesting enough about them, then, and just keep up with the question. So, for example, me, I told you a story about how this one girl came and asked me if I was ambivalent or apathetic, and that was thinking, or just to see why are you hey, so what are you writing about? What's the pretty thing over there? Especially, along with the questions, it's instead of you try to talk as much as you talk as much as they deliver questions, as much as they try to get something out of you. However, you keep as much reserve. You don't try to force yourself into the conversation. You maintain that certain level of disinterest, at least from a verbal standpoint. Because if you're trying to constantly cram yourself into the conversation, talk about yourself, then you want to seem as valuable of a resource. And objectification of people. But if you're always asking questions about them, then you maintain control over the conversation. Especially if you're asking questions, if you are asking questions about things that that they like, things that will make them smile. So, in my case, asking about what I'm looking at or what I'm drawing or something like that, I'm probably doing it because I'm enjoying it. So you're rousing up positive emotions because I get to explain something I enjoy. So the thing is, the more positive, boys or dogs, you're trying to train them to associate you with positive feelings, and the initial positive feelings are important, especially when you're determining attraction. Well, hope that helps. One guy flirt. So, at least for me, take off glasses, you look at them for a second, glance at them, twist them around, and then put them back on. That's all I got. Best wishes.